Home sales for the month of July dropped by 47% compared to the same time last year, and signs are pointing to a stabilization in the housing market. But the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board is calling on all levels of government to revise how mortgage stress tests are used, and also calling to remove red tape to add new housing supply to the market.
So let's get into this right now with Jason Mercer. He is the chief market analyst at TREB, joined us live this morning, as he does, it seems, almost on a monthly basis as we get your numbers and analysis, Jason. So it's good to talk to you here. It's interesting what you're talking about the way the market is right now, because it seems kind of counterintuitive between what's available, what's selling, and where the prices are. It seems like a kind of a mixed situation.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, since March, when we've seen a rapid increase in borrowing costs over the last few months, we've seen demand taper off, and that makes sense. We're seeing some buyers move to the sidelines to sort of reassess their situation in the marketplace. Perhaps they're looking at the potential of purchasing a less expensive home, which could mitigate the impact of interest rates, or looking at a different part of the GTA. And while they do that, there remains, a fairly substantial number of listings in the marketplace. And so we've seen a bit of a balance. There's a little bit more supply out there for buyers right now. But the concern is that as we move forward, as we see population growth continue at record levels, and you start to see some of these households move back off the sidelines, you're going to see market conditions tighten up again. And so, what we're saying is that the different levels of government have made strides to bring on more housing supply, but we can't let this blip in the marketplace, impede that over the long term.
Right. And Jason, with the interest rate expected to go even higher, TREB is now calling on all levels of government to reevaluate the mortgage stress test. Why is that?
Right. I mean, we've had the stress test in place now for a number of years. And I think, number one, transparency is key. So I think, if OSFI can better explain the rationale underlying the stress test and where they feel that stress test is going to go moving forward, especially, that barometer or benchmark rate through which people will be tested, it'll give consumers a better idea of where they feel or where OSFI feels, interest rates are going, when are they going to peak, and when are they going to start edging lower, and it'll give people a better sense as to where that affordability is going to fit within their household balance sheet.
And Jason, are things happening in the market right now faster than perhaps you forecast? I mean, we realize that over the last, certainly 20 to 24 months, the market really was just rocketed up. It was a real seller's market. But the way things have gone now, is this happening faster than you had expected with what the central bank has been doing and how rates have been changing?
I mean, I think the price trend's unfolding more or less how we thought it would. At the beginning of the year, we had forecast an average price for calendar year 2022 coming in at $1.225 million, and we're headed in that direction. I mean, we started really strong at the beginning of the year, and obviously now we've seen a downward trend over the last few months. I think sales have dropped off a little bit quicker than we would have anticipated, and I think that's just in line with, an accelerated pace of interest rate hikes, sort of beyond what I think most analysts were predicting.
And Jason, let's talk about housing supply, kind of the long-standing issue that is kind of driving all this behind the scenes in terms of where prices are going and where we go eventually. What is the red tape that needs to be kind of cut for this to improve?
Well, I think if you think about both at the municipal level and provincial level, credit where credit's due. I mean, we have seen movement on bringing on more housing supply, and I think more importantly, a greater diversity of housing supply. And I think we need to continue on that track as we move forward, especially bridging that gap between, traditional single-family homes and condominium apartments. Because, right now there's a bit of a lull in the marketplace, and that should be used to give policymakers pause in terms of bringing on more supply. I mean, again, we're going to see record levels of immigration. The GTA is going to be the single greatest beneficiary of that population growth. We need to bring on housing for those people to live in, whether we're talking about ownership housing or rental housing. And don't forget, the rental market has really tightened up over the last few months as well.
Yeah, we also covered a story on that, saying it's also the landlord's market now as well. Okay, Jason Mercer, Chief Market Analyst at the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. Appreciate you breaking down the numbers for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks very much.